I see a lot of wives jabbing their husbands on that one. Okay, we'll be warned. We'll be doing a short history of Antarctic exploration. Now, I've got to warn everybody, at the start of every talk I give, and the end of every talk I give, there's going to be a penguin joke to add to your repertoire of penguin jokes. Because
dạ, mai cho nó lẹ, cái kia lâu lắm. 9 giờ coi show cũng được tận ngày mai. Vẫn còn CD mà.
Nó thâu có thể gì cắt.
Hả? Thâu à? Cái đó nghe rồi. Thôi phải nghe lại hả? Đi let's go. Ngày mai bớt watching với ông Ben.
South America and Antarctica are effectively joined up. We have lots and lots of mountain ranges, everywhere mountain ranges, and it comes right up here into the Pacific Ocean.
Mà đâu có watch gì đâu, để vậy.
This was based on the theory at the time that because the northern hemisphere had such land mass, the southern hemisphere must have the equal amount of land mass to stop the world tipping upside down. So it was a very strange concept, but they were wedded to it. By 1590, still more details. We see Antarctica still attached to South America, and it goes right up into the Pacific, gobbles up all those Pacific nations and islands. By 1689, however, Antarctica's disappeared. Suddenly it's gone. By 1744, still gone, and yet we have the west coast of Australia being mapped, but Antarctica's off the map. Then 1773 to 1775, Captain James Cook came along and he circumnavigated Antarctica and he posited little bits here and little bits there, and we started understanding where the Antarctic continent actually lay. He was charged on 2 of his 3 global journeys with finding out this great missing southern continent that was meant to be down there balancing up the world, and he proved it was not in the South Pacific, but there was a continent much further south. So bit by bit, more and more explorers came past and touched little bits here, little bits there, little bits here, until collectively we had a good knowledge of the Antarctic continent. And that circle in red there shows where we'll be visiting. There's a close-up of it. And we'll talk more about that up at the expedition room in the Bliss Lounge later today. Those who want to come and have a look at the maps, come on between 5 and 6. So, in terms of who gets credit, it's a mixed bag. Everybody gets it. Next question, who was the first person to sight Antarctica? Well, the credit generally goes to Captain Cook, 1773. He did cross the Antarctic Circle. He circumnavigated the whole continent. And he said with pride that undoubtedly he was the first to ever cross that line. But technically, he never sighted the continent. He got very close, he mapped some icebergs, he got within almost a coulee of the continent, but didn't actually sight it. The ship had a very hard time. They had little protection from the strength of ice, yet Cook sailed around the pack ice and charted what he could. When they first sighted icebergs looming about 200 feet tall, the crew thought they were islands. As the temperature dropped, the whole ship became covered in ice. The ropes were hard with it. Icicles covered the superstructure and fell from the deck like daggers. When the spray hit the ship, they would turn into ice as they hit the people. As they came close to 70 kilometres to the Antarctic continent, before turning north once again. In the following summer, they came back and tried again, and it was even harder, that journey. Their livestock died, the men began to show signs of depression and scurvy. William Wales, the ship's astronomer, wrote, "Salt beef and pork without vegetables for 14 weeks running would cure a glutton, even in England." They spent Christmas of 1773 in the deep southern waters with icicles forming all over the ship until they realised they could go no further and turned back north. So on the 30th of January 1774, Cook reached 71 degrees 10 seconds, which was for many years the most further south reached. Now, there's an interesting story here, because Cook wrote, "I can be bold enough to say that no man will ever venture farther than I have done, and that the lands which may lie to the south will never be explored." Well, we know he got that one wrong. And when it comes to who exactly was the farthest south, there's a little bit of an interesting anecdote there, because two different men on the ship, they wanted to be the individuals who were the most further south. George Vancouver, who anyone from Vancouver will be familiar with, and Anders Sparrman, the botanist. So George Vancouver, he climbed out the bowsprit at the very, very front of the ship and waved his hat as the ship turned around in the belief that would put him the most furthest on the ship. But Anders Sparrman went to the very back of the ship and hung out the back window in the belief that as the ship turned around, the back would be further south than the tip. So I'm going to leave that one to you to choose who was the most further south. So who sighted the continent first? Well, lots of claims and lots of contention over that. One possibility, 1819, there was a Spanish ship, the San Telmo. The remains were washed up on South Shetland Island, so it had sunk in the southern oceans. But there's no proof it actually got as close to the Antarctic continent. It's one of those perhaps, perhaps not. If it sunk, did it sink close and the remains washed up? The three main contenders we have were in 1820. They're the Englishman, Edward Bransfield. Any English people here today? Shout out for the English. There was the Russian, Fabian Gottlieb von Billingshausen. Any Russians here today? Shout out for the Russians. And there was the American, Nathaniel Palmer. Any Americans here today? None? Okay, maybe later. We'll see if they get out of bed later and will join us. So, Englishman Edward Bransfield is even, there's a book written about him called The Man Who Discovered Antarctica. But just have a look who the author was. Sheila Bransfield. Okay. All these three have different claims. He was an Irish sailor who was impressed into service in the Royal Navy at the age of 18. He rose to become an officer, serving as a master on several ships. During 1819, while rounding Cape Horn, an English merchantman, William Smith, discovered the South Shetland Islands. The Royal Navy decided that warranted an investigation, and they sent Bransfield further south. He landed on King George Island and took formal possession on behalf of King George III, who actually had died the day before, unfortunately. He proceeded past that, found Deception Island, turned south further. He crossed what is now known as the Bransfield Strait, which we will be going through ourselves. And on 30th of January, he sighted Trinity Peninsula, the northernmost point of the Antarctic mainland. That's the English claim. The Russian claim, Fabian Gottlieb von Billingshausen. He was a Baltic German naval officer working in the Imperial Russian Navy. Cartographer and explorer, ultimately rose to the rank of admiral. He participated in the first Russian circumnavigation of the globe before being made leader of the circumnavigation expedition. His remit was basically to go to Antarctica. Everywhere that Cook went out, he went in. Everywhere that Cook went in, he went out. And so he added an enormous amount of knowledge to where the continent lay. And there's his two voyages past. One coming from basically Tasmania and one coming from the Atlantic. He circumnavigated. One of his purposes was to find the South Pole, which was often put forward. The US claim, American Nathaniel Palmer, He was a sealer, explorer, sailing captain, and a ship designer. He gave his name to Palmer Land, which is what the Antarctic Peninsula has been known as in many areas. In 1820, on board his sloop Hero, and the US station, Palmer Station, is named after him. But who was the actual first? Well, we're reading through their logs, looking at their diaries. How are we going to rate them? First was actually the Russian, Fabian Gottlieb von Dellinghausen, so first gold medal to the Russians. 3 days later, the Englishman, Edward Bransfield, sighted land. And then 10 months later, American Nathaniel Palmer. So you'll see lots of different people putting claims on this, but when we look at it historically, that's the way I found it out. Now, there is one other contender. There was a very mysterious ancient skeleton found on the South Shetland Islands in 1985. It was a female, about the age 21. She was indigenous from the tip of South America and was probably there between 1819 and 1825, which at the earlier leg would put her there before the three claimants. So it was not quite known where she came from. There are a couple of theories. That's where her bones were found. She could have been on the San Telmo when it was wrecked in 1819. She could have been on Palmer's ship in 1821-22, or Bransfield's ship, or captive by sealers. We may never know. But history keeps changing. That's one of the things this more data finds. Okay, let's jump forward to 1823. British sealer James Weddell, he with the very, very hairy eyebrows. Most expeditions at that stage were commercial, looking for whales or sealing. And he went into the Weddell Sea, which is, we're coming down this side of the peninsula. The Weddell Sea is around this side, and often very, very difficult to get into because of ice conditions. But he went very, very far south. He achieved the further south of 74 degrees 34, and it took many, many, many years till anybody could better that. The theory is he fluked it. It was just a lucky year with the ice. So, with that all settled, suddenly there was a national race to become the furthest south. Who was going to beat that? Who was going to possibly sail their ship to the South Pole? So let's look at our three contenders. We had Dermot d'Urville for the French. Any French people here today? Very quiet, but yes. James Clark Ross representing the British. We know we have a good British contingent. And have any Americans arrived since? Still waiting. Okay, we'll get there. We'll get there. So these three contenders all set out roughly the same time, all with roughly the same remit, to go and plant their flag, their nation's flag, at the furthest possible southern point. And it really was the first race to the pole. Ross, Wilkes and d'Urville were in a race of national prestige. So let's look at the three. Frenchman, Jules Dumont d'Urville. At the age of 17, he failed his physical tests at the entrance to the École Polytechnique, but he decided to enlist in the Navy. King Louis Philippe approved the plan, but he ordered the expedition aimed for the South Magnetic Pole and claim it for France. If that was not possible, he was to equal the most southerly latitude of James Weddell. They had to prove, and for Jules Dumont d'Urville himself, he had a lot to prove. He was not a wealthy man. In fact, he was offered the equivalent of a knighthood and had to turn it down because he couldn't afford things that went with it. And his reputation was on the line. He had to get there, had to make a lot happening. His first attempt failed. He got stuck in the ice. Many crew were killed by scurvy and dysentery, and they deserted when they reached Chile. He went up to Valparaiso and put together a ragtag crew and made a second attempt. And he planted a French flag on an islet named there Terre Adélie. That was his wife's name, Adélie. She's remembered by Adélie Land and the Adélie penguins. Conditions on board rapidly deteriorated. Most of the crew started suffering scurvy, and the main decks were covered in smoke from the ship's fires, and bad smells became unbearable. At the end of February 1838, he accepted he was not able to go any further south, and he continued to doubt whether Weddell had actually gone as far south as he had. So the two ships turned around and went back to Chile, where they had to rest up many of the men who recovered. They were so sick. Now, D'Urville returned somewhat of a hero, but his place in the history books was stymied in a way because he was a victim, oh there he goes, of the very first train crash in France. He made it back to France but died in the first train crash known as the Versailles train crash in 1842, barely 2 years later. 55 people killed. Let's turn to Charles Wilkes, after whom Wilkes Land is named. He was born in New York on April 3rd, 1798. He was actually the great nephew of the Lord Mayor of London, John Wilkes. His mother died in 1802 when he was 3 years old, and he was bounced around from carer to carer to carer until he found a home in the Navy. He entered the Navy as a midshipman and worked his way up. He was very, very, very ambitious, also very paranoid, very secretive, very difficult to work with. And the American expedition had a lot of problems because time after time people were being handed this captaincy or the admiralty of the voyage, and they looked at it and thought, no, because if it fails and I'm beaten by the British and French, there's going to be a huge embarrassment. No one took it on until Wilkes stepped forward and said, I'll take it on, but you've got to make me a captain. And they didn't. They kept him a lieutenant. And he was really miffed by that. It got under his skin and he became really agitated and angry about it. There he goes on his sailby. For the purpose of exploring and surveying the Southern Ocean. He had 5 ships, many scientists, very haughty, very strict. On their way to Antarctica, they visited Fiji and the Hawaiian Islands. In Fiji, the expedition kidnapped the chief, Rovedovi, charged him with the murder of a crew of an American whaler that had previously been there. And in July 1840, 2 sailors, one of whom was Wilkes's nephew, was killed while bartering for food on Fiji, on their Malolo Island. His retribution was swift and severe, and it said nearly 80 Fijians were killed in the incident. But it shows his fiery temper. He had a very fiery temper. When he got back to America, he had 2 court-martials for his ill treatment of the crew and the ill treatment of native islanders, and the loss of one of his ships, which was carelessly let go. In fact, Captain Ahab from Herman Melville's Moby Dick is widely said to be based on Charles Wilkes. He also said he named Antarctica. It's contested as well. During the US Civil War, a couple of years later, he fired on a Royal Navy mailboat and boarded it to forcibly remove 2 Confederate diplomats. It was a huge incident known as the Trent Affair that nearly had the United Kingdom involved in the war. Only some quick work by Prince Albert, Victoria's husband, prevented that from happening. So a very contentious fellow. He was later accused of lying about sighting land before D'Urville sighted it. In fact, the 2 ships met while they were there. They sent signals to each other, and something happened. Wilkes sailed away in a huff, so the 2 men never got to speak. Historian J. Gordon Hayes said of Wilkes, out of 8 new lands which Wilkes claimed to have discovered, 6 have no existence, the 7th is improbable, and only 1 was a possibility, but already discovered by D'Urville 9 days before. Very interesting character in history, Wilkes. Then we turn to our British entrant. From 1839 to 1843, a huge expedition in 2 ships, 4-year search for the South Magnetic Pole. And we should all know that the South Magnetic Pole, like the North Magnetic Pole, wanders around. And sometimes it's out at sea, sometimes it's on land. He was a British naval officer and a polar explorer. He was the only one of the 3 actually had a lot of polar experience. He worked in the Arctic for many years. He participated in 2 expeditions of the Arctic, led by his uncle Sir John Ross, and 4 led by Sir William Parry, and they did map the North Magnetic Pole in 1831. This is where he came down to on the map, and this island here, Ross Island, is named after him, and the Ross Ice Shelf named after him, and the major US base is down here, McMurdo. There he comes. He commanded 2 ships, the Erebus and the Terror. And anyone who's Canadian will know those names very well because they were later used by Sir John Franklin to try and find the Northwest Channel and stuck and were lost for many, many years, and only recently were both ships found. So at the time, the Erebus and the Terror were probably the best 2 ships equipped to go to Antarctica. They were former mortar ships in the Napoleonic War. They were built very, very strong to be able to fire mortar shells. They had small engines later fitted. At the time, sail was enough to get them there. Very strong little ships. And on Ross Island there are 2 mountains, Mount Erebus and Mount Terror. They're named after the 2 ships. There's a close-up of Ross Island where it sits in Antarctica. He sailed further south until he found this great wall of ice, 200 feet high, called the Barrier for many years, the Great Ice Barrier. But he won the contest going further south. They sailed for 250 nautical miles, or 460 kilometres, along the edge of the ice, looking for a change, looking for a way to get in. The area is called the Barrier, now known as the Ross Ice Shelf, in his honour. So, first prize goes to James Clark Ross, followed by Dermot D'Urville, and third place, Charles Wilkes, for further south at the time. But then Ross went and did something pretty silly. He stated, there are no scientific discoveries or problems worth exploration in the far south. And that effectively stymied any further Antarctic exploration for many years. Historian H.R. Mill termed the age of averted interest. For 20 years after Ross, there was a big lull in Antarctic exploration. Here we have a map showing all those early explorers, the charts. You can see the different colours for different explorers, and they've all come around catching little tiny bits of the continent together. So, the big question, who stepped foot on Antarctica first? And this depends a bit on your definitions. Do you count the islands? It's got to be the mainland. What are we talking about here? On the ice? Let's have a look at it. One of the first most likely landings, or a claim on it, was made by the American sealer Captain John Davis in 1821. He was a sealer from Connecticut. He thought he may have been the first person to set foot on Antarctica. His ship's log of the time reads, commenced with open and cloudy weather and light winds, standing for a large body of land in that direction, southeast at 10 a.m. Close in with our boat and sent her on shore to look for seal. I think this southern land to be a continent. So it may have. But not everyone accepts his claim. I think it may have been an offshore island. Second likely claim was Mercator Cooper. He was a ship's captain who is credited with the first formal American visit to Edo, now Tokyo, after rescuing some Japanese seamen and giving permission to bring them ashore. He made a landing on the ice shelf, reportedly saw numerous penguins, but no seals, their chief objective for a sealer. The landing occurred in what is now known as the Oates Coast of East Antarctica, perhaps the first landing over this side. But again, contested. So the first undisputed landing in Antarctica was between these 3 men. And I should actually say it's probably disputed as well. We've got these 3 men in the same boat. There was the ship's captain, Leonard Christensen. There was Carsten Borchgrevink, a Norwegian/Australian later, and Alexander von Tunzelmann, a young New Zealander, 17-year-old. They all claimed that as the boat came, the small rowboat they were taking into shore, came ashore, they each claimed they were first out of the boat, first to step shore. The captain said, I was sitting foremost in the boat and I jumped ashore as the boat struck land. Von Tunzelmann said, no, I was in the bow and I jumped out first to steady it so the captain could disembark. And Borchgrevink said, as soon as the order was given to stop pulling the oars, I jumped over the side of the boat. And he even had a picture drawn of him jumping out of the boat. And we know if there's a picture of it, clearly it must be true. Here's the point they were to have jumped on. So Borchgrevink was born in Oslo, migrated to Australia. He claimed to have been a student to fill the science role on board, but didn't have the credentials, but very ambitious. So having looked at all the evidence, I'm going to raise them. I'm going to give it to von Tunzelman as the first ashore, with the belief that the captain would have wanted someone else to hold the boat for them, and the young man would have done it. Bort Grant may or may not have jumped overboard first, but we'll see. Bit of a tricky one. Next big question. The first to overwinter in Antarctica. Now here's a fascinating story because it was an accidental overwinter. Perhaps accidental overwinter. Let's start with this man, Adrien de Gerlache. He was a Belgian sailor, frustrated by the monotonous work aboard the Ostend-Dover ferries. He offered his service to King Leopold II from an expedition to the Congo. That was turned down. He had tried to apply to the Swedish expedition. Then he said, I'll make my own expedition. He put together a real mismatch of people. A lot of them didn't speak the same language. Their cook left when they reached South America, so they had no cook of worth their merit. It was a very inauspicious start to a major expedition. And it became trapped in the pack ice off the Antarctic Peninsula.
And right about now, put your hands together for your host, it's Alvin! Hello, beautiful people! Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Bliss Lounge for Battle of the Sexes. Tonight, we will see who will reign supreme. If it's the guys, make some noise! If it's the ladies, make some noise! By the sound of that, guys, you lose. Well, to be honest with you, I've been doing this game show for quite a while now, and I've never seen the guy with this. Just to be honest, alright? But of course, I cannot do this all by myself, so put your hands together for my lovely assistant coming to you all the way from Zimbabwe. We have Gloria. Okay, that's enough. And making us look good, making us sound good, we have DJ, CJ, and Nino, and your technical supervisor is here. I don't know what he's doing. And we have Dwayne, our camera genius. Yes. Alright, so as you can see, we don't have any sign up for this game show because I'm gonna need some volunteer. I'm gonna need 6 guys and 6 girls right here to represent your gender right now. Come on, guys. Join us for the game show.
Only if you're ready for this.
Come on the dance floor right now. Perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, we have 1, 2, 2 for 2, 3, 4 ladies. 3 guys. Come on, I need 3 more guys and 2 more, or 2 more ladies. I don't even know how to count. 2, 4, 6 guys complete. Ladies, sir, I need 1 more. Let's go. 2 more ladies. Come on, ladies. Represent your gender. 1 more. 1 more lady. And here we go, we're complete. Yes, awesome. We got it. Gloria. 2, 4, 6. Okay. So, what I want you guys to do, shoulder to shoulder, 1 line face the audience. Same thing, ladies. Line up here, shoulder to shoulder, facing the audience. Okay, the other line. And that's the first test. In 3, 2, 1. Guys, you lose. Okay, we're gonna have 5 challenges for this one, so make sure you... Oh, look at that. You're so all lined up. Okay, so this first challenge, this is what we call the numbers game, okay? Gloria will hand out the numbers for you from 0 to 5. and all you gotta do is to arrange yourself according to the sequence of numbers that I'm gonna tell you. Okay? Rules for this. Make sure the numbers are facing the audience so the audience can see. Perfect. Okay, this is the rule. When I tell you the number or that sequence of number, you need for me to say the word, you need to wait for me to say the word go before you move, okay? Because if you move without me telling the word go, the point will go automatic to your opponent, okay? So guys, I'm gonna strongly suggest do not move and you will win this challenge, okay? This is race to 10, all right? Race to 10, so make sure, wait for the word go. Ladies, are you ready? Gentlemen, are you ready? So, I'm gonna tell you a sequence of numbers and all you gotta do is to arrange yourself according to that sequence of number. Shoulder to shoulder. Okay, you got it? Easy? Alright? Good luck. Just arrange yourself. And once you're done arranging yourself to that sequence of numbers, you raise the numbers up. So we would know that you guys are done arranging yourself to that sequence. Okay, here we go with the first sets of numbers. It's 12,345. Go. 12,345. 12,345. 12,000. Lady, what, man? You're just part of the ladies. You are not part of the guy here. 12,345. 12,345. 12,345. Raise the numbers up. If you think you're done, raise it up, raise it up. And the ladies won. They beat you by raising the numbers up. And I don't even know why do you have to move. You're already on that number. You'll just have to raise it up. That was just a warm-up now, okay? So 1 lady, 1 point for the ladies and none for the guys. So make sure, be quick, raise it up quickly as well. Okay, first set or next set of number, it's 450,120 and the point goes to the guys. I told you guys, do not move and you will win this. Wait for me to say the word go before you move. Okay, next it's 321,054. Go. 321,054. 321,054. 321,054. And the point goes to the guys. And the ladies are still debate. It's 321,000. You're supposed to be beside the pretty one. Okay, it's 2-1. Next, it's 32,154. Go. 32,154. 32,154. 32,000. And the point goes to the guys. This is unusual. Normally the guys are the ones struggling. What's going on? Okay. It's, what's the score?
3-1.
3-1. Okay, 3-1. Next. It's 254. I'm gonna pretend that I didn't see anything, okay? Next. It's 354,102. Go. 354,102. 354,000. And the point goes to the guys. They are fast. They are good now. That's scary. And now they're bragging. All right, next. It's 452,310. Go. 452,310. the ladies. Finally, you're catching up, ladies. Next, it's 532,140. Go. 532,140. And the guys. Score?
5-2.
5-2. Next, it's 35,241. And the point goes to the ladies. 3-5. Next, it's 123,450. Go. 123,450. Oh, that was a close call. It's a tie. Next, it's 501,234. Go. 501,234. 501,230. And the point goes to the guys. Next, it's 210,543. And the point goes to the ladies. Why do you have to? Oh, man. Okay, next. It's 301,245. Go. 301,245. 300. And the point goes to the guys. All right. Next, it's 541,230. Go. 541,230. I'm gonna give it to the ladies because of the hip bump. Okay, and the points?
8 for the males and 6 for the females.
Oh, guys, two more. Okay, here we go. It's 25,341. Go. 25,341. 25,341. And the point goes to the guys. It's 21,000. One more guy and you will win this round. Okay, next. It's 234,510. Go! 234,510. And the point goes to the guys. And the winner of this challenge is none other than the gentleman. It's okay, guys, ladies, it's okay. Now, we're gonna move on to our next challenge. This next challenge is what we call the paper plane challenge. So what you have in your hand is you're gonna fold that and turn it into the best paper plane ever. And one at a time, you're gonna throw it to the audience, the farthest plane. Starting from that line, the farthest plane wins this round. Start folding your papers now. Make sure it's a legit paper plane, okay? You are not allowed to crumple it and you call it a meteorite or an asteroid. That doesn't count. Okay, hold it perfectly, evenly. No. One at a time. 9. Make sure that plane will fly and soar like an eagle. 8. the side. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, done. Okay. Let's start with the ladies. Come on up here, love. On the stage. And sing. What's your name and what's the name of the plane?
Julia, and this is the Jefferson Starship.
Jefferson. That's a long name for a plane. Okay, let's see how far. So make sure you throw it and it will end up all the way to the back of the lounge. Okay, so let's see how far Jefferson Star will go. And wow! Whoa! Nice throw! Uh-oh, guys, you are in trouble. Okay, next. What the heck is that? All right, tell me what's your name and what's the name of the plane?
Francisco on, I don't know, Antarctic plane.
Antarctic plane. Okay, let's see how far Antarctic plane will go. And go. Wow. Okay, Antarctic plane. It's cold. Okay, next. Come on. On the stage. Tell me what's your name and what's the name of the plane?
My name is Linda, and this is Mama Rita.
Mama Rita. Okay, let's see how far Mama Rita will go. Whoa! Guys, you better throw harder. Okay, here we go. Next. Oh boy. Oh, there we go. Now we're talking. What's your name and what's the name of the plane?
Nick, and this is Argentina Turner.
Nice. Argentina Turner. Let's see how far. And oh, come on, Nick. That was a lame throw. Okay. Next one. Argentina Turner, man. Very original.
I've never done it.
I just want to check. The effort of folding that's like 1, 2. That's it. You never done it. Okay, it's okay. What's your name and what's the name of the plane?
Nikki. Bob.
Bob. Let me see how far Bob will go. And Bob. Oh, poor Bob. Just murdered your name, Bob. Okay. And what's your name? What's the name of the plane?
Brian, Trapping Lake Express.
Okay, Traffic Link Express. Let's see how far it goes. Brian, the effort. So strong and nothing. Okay, next. Oh my goodness. I feel like there's like, this is the Bermuda Triangle, people. It sucks all the plane in here. Okay, tell me what's your name and what's the name of the plane?
I'm Tasia, and this is 14 Beast.
14 Beast. Okay, let's see how. The Beast. And. Wow. Join the Bermuda Triangle. Okay. Oh, I can see another aerodynamic in here. Okay. Do not let us down. What's your name and what's the name of the plane?
Steve Cocaro, New York Jet.
Okay. Let's see how far New York Jet will go. Ah, aiming for the sky and whoop it. Oh, poor plane. I thought you were like, you're full on, man. And there goes the guy's hope. Okay, next. New York. Oh my goodness. All right, tell me, what's your name and what's the name of the plane?
And this is Apollo 13.
Okay, Apollo 13 and. Yeah, you should have named it Boomerang. It went back. Okay, next. Oh, here we go. Look at that aerodynamic of that. All right. What's your name and what's the name of the plane?
Terry, and it was supposed to be Apollo 13, but she stole it. Apollo 14.
Okay. Oh, that was so close. You could have thrown it a little stronger. Okay. And the last one. What's your name and what's the name of the plane?
So my name is Isadora and the name is Alvin's Glitter Shoes.
Aw, hello. Okay. So let's see how far Alvin's glitter shoe. Oh man. And the last one. Oh, you are the last hope for the guys. You are the last hope. See that? That is so close. That is the one that you need to beat. And tell me, what's your name and what's the name of the plane?
I'm Paul, and this is the Canadian Arrow.
A Canadian Arrow. Okay. Let's see how far Canadian Arrow. And and that round goes to the gentleman. That is a nice Canadian Arrow. So far it's 2 for the guys and 0 for the ladies. Oh boy. Okay. Let's just move on. Oh, the plane. Let's get the plane out of there before all the passengers complain on that plane. Okay. So we're gonna move on with our lives because we. What happened? Seriously? You will never win this competition. Okay, so what I want you to do right now is to line up shoulder to shoulder, one line, alternating with each other. Guy, girl, guy, girl, guy, girl. So shoulder to shoulder, face the audience, one line, alternating with each other, facing the audience. Like this year, guys, this year. Okay. Alright, so this next challenge, this is what we call Sing It. Okay? I have a microphone. All I'm gonna do is to hand out the mic to any of you, and all you have to do is to sing any song from nursery rhyme, rock, ballad, pop, music, any song at all. Okay? The only rule is you are not allowed to repeat what the other sang already, and 5 seconds, nothing is coming up because you're mentally blocked by all the songs playing in your head. You're out of the game, and once you're out, you'll just have to step back. Okay? Question? No. You cannot go first. Okay. So, ladies, are you ready? Gentlemen, are you ready? Here we go with
Old MacDonald had a farm.
good.
Come together right now over me.
Ding, 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 ding.
Happy birthday to you.
Yesterday, all my troubles. It's the circle of life.
Yes.
You are my sunshine.
Aww.
Tequila.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
Oíd mortales,
More?
el grito sagrado.
More?
Ah,
The happy birthday song. Alright, get close. Get close to each other. And
Moon river wider than the sun.
knowing me, knowing you.
It was the dark of the moon on the 6th of June and a Kenworth pulling logs.
YMCA.
alright.
All my loving.
Good.
Oh, sweet child of mine.
Help, I need somebody, help.
First I was afraid, I was petrified.
Nice. Dancing Queen.
Start spreading the news.
Welcome to the Hotel California.
Es otra adiós, te fuiste otra vez sin mí.
Just quit. And
Na 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 na. Hey, goodbye.
Sweet Caroline. ABC, falling in love with you was easy for me.
Olha que coisa mais linda, mais cheia de graça. Give me, give me, give me a man after midnight.
It's a final countdown.
You shook me all night long.
Your energy is killer.
Para bailar la bamba,
Alright.
la isla bonita.
Welcome to the jungle. I'm out.
He didn't even try. Okay, get close. And
Na 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 na.
On the desert road, there were birds and things.
I'll take it.
Estoy vencida porque el mundo me es así.
Mamma mia, here we go again.
Don't cry for me, Argentina.
Every little thing she does is magic.
Oh, Canada.
It was the summer of '69.
Every night in my dreams.
That's a band song on board.
Oh, say, can you see?
New York, New York.
It's been a hard day's night.
Tras un manto de neblina.
Amen, amen.
Hey, no vayas presumiendo por allí.
We all live in a yellow submarine.
Shake it up, baby, now.
Ain't no sunshine when she's. Lay all your love on me.
I'm dreaming of